And our session today is how solid is your foundation? And it's based on things that we can do to support student success. And a lot of it is information that has come through some information that from someone that I tend to follow, and that's Michelle Pacansky Brock. So I'm will share that information with you as we go through. Here is where we are going. Those of you that know me know that this is how I tend to process information. I have to lay it out this way, and so you're going to get to share my concept map with me. So here is where we are headed today in a little bit more formal manner of looking at it. We're going to share some thoughts about the students' perspective on our classes, on our courses. And we're going to consider the communication methods that we use. We're also going to put some thinking into developing our classes, our courses as community. What will it take for all of us to be involved together in the community? We're going to take a fairly quick look at some of the accessibility components for our classes, as well as copyright tools. Both of these items are extremely important. And I will not be going into in depth with them, I will also tell you where to find information in depth for both of those. And then we're going to encourage you to develop the skills to support your student needs and their learning. So here's my first question for you, and I'm going to try to keep myself quiet for just a moment while you think about how do you learn about your students' technology skills. So give some thought to it, and then you're welcome to post in the chat, or Linnell can unmute you so that you can share.
So before I actually use a new tool, whether it's Padlet or Slido or Flipgrid or whatnot, I ask my students in an announcement, and I have them, they can respond to each other about whether or not they've used it before, and that informs me about the prep. And I'll do this within the first couple of weeks of class, so that throughout the whole class, I already know where I need to fill in the gap. And to work out well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So let's give some thought to those, to some of those skills. I'm going to ask you to shift your perspective, to start thinking of things from your students' perspective. We want to consider our students' experiences, and this is nothing more than simply an effective teaching practice. But also consider the fact that within every single course that we teach, there is what is referred to or can be referred to as academic diversity. We have students in our classes with a wide range of skills. We have all ages. Some of your more mature students might not be as comfortable using technology, and even some of our basic, our freshmen may be comfortable with some aspects of technology, but not necessarily the ones that we are going to be using. And so one of the things that is strongly suggested, is to identify the skills that they're going to need and be specific, as Dr. Lisa just said, be specific about what it's all about, why you are choosing to use that, most of you that have heard me talk know that all of the ones that Lisa mentioned are tools that I use and promote and love to use in my classes. But my students need to know the why of that. So it's important for making sure that there is a rationale. And it is also an empowering experience for them, for guiding them through how to use the tool and understanding why it's important for their learning. Um, and so communication is an ideal way of doing that, preferably before the beginning of class, but that's not always available to us. But we want to make sure that at whatever point we are sharing that information, that they know what tools you plan to use and the reasons for them. And if there are supplemental items, supplemental tools, then also the rationale for doing that. So here's another question I have for you with communication tools. Where and when do your students get this information? Lisa said she sends out an announcement or an information piece early in the class. Are there other times that it's available? This is a chance for you to think about where and when the students are going to get this information. Many of us would do that in an announcement early on. It might be something that is a component in your start here. Add information and how to's right in the assignment. Yes, absolutely. And that would be particularly important if you are including a tool that you didn't mention early on or that wasn't listed in the syllabus. So that is a time to make sure that it's there for them, and if there's a need for a tutorial in how to use it, that information would be included in there. Yes, definitely. That takes us to the concept of sharing information, the access that our students have to the information, the expectations, and the resources that are available to us. The campus access, which will be the LMS. Uh, for most of us, it's Canvas, but there are quite a few LMS out there. So if you're if you happen to be involved in a different one, take a look at what's available through the LMS. With Canvas, we have lots of opportunities, lots of tools that are available to us within Canvas that help the students learn how to get through there. If you have brand new students, and the term that we have been hearing a great deal lately is FCIS, for FT, first time in college, students that first ones in their family to go to college. This LMS, this thing called Canvas, might be completely new to them. So most of the Canvas courses have a navigation video and navigation available to them. Make sure that there is information within the Start Here menu for them to be able to know where to go to find out how to use whatever they are using. There may be software that you're asking them to use, and that software is available. Much of it is available through what we refer to as the LTI. And Linnell, I never remember what that LTI stands for. It makes sense when I read it, but I never remember what that term means.
Learning tool integration, I think. Let me look
Yes,
it up.
thank you. Thank you. I knew you'd be able to support me in that one. Yes, and there are a number of tools that are available to us that Canvas has made available to integrate directly into the course. And so that way it's available right there. You still would want to include the maybe the tutorial for it. Additionally, since a large percentage of our student population will be using phones to access, there are mobile apps that are available to support them in how they are able to use their phones to get that.
So I
So
was incorrect. It's learning tool interoperability.
ah,
Interoperability.
okay, thank you, thank
You're
you. Okay, well, interaction worked for me. Okay, thank you so much. All right, so I am going to give you another quiet moment to think about what tools do you use or could you use in order to create community in your course. So we're shifting from basic access to community. We want to think about how we can make sure that even in an online course, our students know that we are all a part of a learning community together. So, what tools might be available to you for that? Okay, so our meal uses breakout rooms and helps the students get acquainted that way. Excellent. Dr. Lisa has indicated Flipgrid, and we do have some. Flipgrid is a wonderful tool because it is, at its most basic, a visual format for a discussion board, but it is so much more than that, and it's ways for them to interact and be able to see and talk to each other in an almost real time format, not completely. So yeah, Flipgrid is one of the tools. There's a lot of others, and I'm going to make a note to myself to make sure that I provide you with lists of some of those. Um, Community building is really an important part of any class, any course, but it happens pretty much organically in a face-to-face course, and it needs to be built in with intent in an online course. But it's fairly easy to do, and it's also referred to as participatory learning. Um, I have listed on here, and I will give you the link to it, a video that I use in almost every class that I've ever taught. And it's from Michael Welch, 2007, and it's called The Vision of Students Today. And then yes, 2007 is a pretty old video, and you can tell that. And yet so many of the points that are made in there are so pertinent right now. He also asked some of the students that he taught in 2011 to do some remixes of it, and that's an interesting perspective too. But it talks about the things that frustrate students because they are so connected outside of the classroom and then in the classroom so often, although I'm sure the group that I'm talking to today isn't that, but so often some of their instructors may see it as a lecture format. I talk, you listen, and learn that way. And most of us know that that's probably not the most effective way to learn. Um, Two of the things that have been mentioned in some of the research that I've been reading on it are setting student ground rules, letting them know what your expectations are right from the beginning. Um, so particularly, as Lisa mentioned, when you set up the assignments, I think Armil mentioned it as well. When you set up your assignments, give them the background, give them the why, what they're going to be doing, and how that's going to impact their learning. So setting up the ground rules. There's also information about setting a class philosophy. And again, this is something from Michelle Pacansky-Brock, and I will provide you the link to one that she has created and shared. Everything that she creates is free to share, Creative Commons, free to share and remix and use in any way that you need to and appreciate. I have some other information on community, but this last item that I have on there is something that I found in one of the readings I've done recently is um, the concept of office hours. Replace that term with student time. If you have brand new students and students from where their families may not have, and no one in their, they'll be the first time in their family to attend college, they could very easily assume that office hours means it's your time in your office and they're not supposed to disturb you. So consider changing that term to student time to let them know that it's time that you're available in there to connect with them. I thought that was a great idea. Okay, and so this is from some information from another article that I read about building connections. Don't refer to classwork or homework, but instead refer to it as an educational activity. And those connections help them connect with each other and build relationships within the class. Again, developing your community perception on that. Um, and those connections are important for them academically, certainly, but socially and emotionally as well. And so the idea of listening to one another and adapting to how the class is moving. Consider as you're thinking about the tools and the assignments how they will serve your students' knowledge and skill building and how it works to help develop our relationship as a class, our community. Uh, think about if the activity has, you've been given thought to your students' circumstances. Um, they especially, all of us have been through a lot over the last 2+ years, but the students especially, because it's been a period of totally unexpected emotional upheaval. And so be thoughtful about how those things are handled in class, how you choose to interact with them, how you choose to be a little bit more flexible with your educational activities and how they are expected to successfully complete them. This is one of a quote from one of Pekansky Brock's articles, that those relationships are the heart of what supports your students, serving as the tissue to help them learn from you, with you, and from each other and with each other. So I'm going to mention a little bit here about the LMS, which I did some earlier, but how we can make sure that our learning management system, in most cases, it would be Canvas, supports those efforts. First of all, we definitely include a course we have available a course template. If you're building a course with our department, you have been introduced to that template already, but we have a template available for anybody to use. And the format for that template is such that it provides the students with a consistent way of moving through the content, the information that they need to know, and then navigating to the educational activities to be included for each one of those modules. So that is a tool that truly supports your students' success because it gives them the opportunity to know exactly where to find what they need when they go into that course. The other item that was mentioned in one of the articles that I read is the use of the rich content editor. When you're editing in Canvas, you have the opportunity to add whatever information you need to add in there where at that point, wherever you open that rich content editor, you can add, include, if you're using a YouTube video, you can embed it in there and be able to have students to have access to it. You can link to articles, all of those things that provide the content for your course. You can make sure that you have in there. Um, and we mentioned the LTIs earlier. I'm always amazed when I look under, when you go into your course, you go down to the bottom to support and go to apps, applications, and then search through all of those applications, and all of those things that are listed in there are available for you to include within your course, so that those things would be available to the students directly in your course within each module where it comes up. One of the items that is extremely important is to be consciously aware of student privacy and how that impacts our students. Within Canvas, their privacy is assured because they have to be registered within the course to be able to get into your Canvas course. If you're linking them out for them to another source, then be sure to include the privacy policies for any tool that is used. Within Canvas, we have the privacy policies listed under policies in the Start Here menu, the privacy policies for everything that we use within the Canvas course. So if you're doing anything other than those, then be sure to make sure that those policies are definitely available, which is other forms of support and modeling. Accessibility, copyright, and citations are three really, really important pieces of using your tools well. For copyright and fair use, I will include, when I send this out to you and on the reference page, links to professional development sessions that Christy Padron from our library has done to give you the most available information possible about both copyright and the use of fair use. And both are, for want of a better word, sticky conversations to have. I don't think I've been in a conversation at any point in the last, especially 2 years, but maybe before that too, where when copyright came up, it became at least a half-hour conversation. And Christy has created a beautiful session for us on that and on how best to use it, and also makes herself readily available to all of us to answer these questions. And I can promise you that all of us have referred to her and have gone in to have her guide us through some of the things that we are completely unsure of. Within Canvas, there is, and I meant to post to get an image of this for you, and I did not do that. Each module in Canvas has an accessibility checker. When you're in the rich content editor, it is a little circle down at the lower right-hand part of the page that tells you if there's anything that needs to be checked for accessibility. And that is a really reliable tool. You want to make sure that any images, even the icons that you use, are clearly marked as to why they are there. The alt text for images and the icons is set up for screen readers so that students who have visual impairments know exactly what it is they are encountering. Um, I have listed Ally here. Ally is a new tool that our OIT uh, department within the university has incorporated, and those are a very small little icon that looks like the speedometer on the car dashboard, and it will be, if it's all the way to the right and it will be green, it will say that that document is completely accessible. And then it will be somewhere up along there if it's not. When you open Canvas, you will see a link to OIT's Ally information with information on how to use it, information on how to join one of their training sessions to be able to use it. And it is also an extremely valuable tool. We are quite grateful for them for that. I've also included on this page an item on UDL with a link to it, and I will include that as well. UDL is Universal Design for Learning, and it's set up intended to make things completely available to all of our students, not just as far as accessibility for those with issues, but or with accessibility challenges, but for everyone, because many times most of us do listen to or see the audio, see the transcript as it goes by in items that we're looking at. So that is an extremely important tool to use, to become quite familiar with, and to incorporate. And we will be doing, we've done one professional development session on it, but I think it's long enough ago that we need to update that and present another one. And one of the tools from that is differentiated instruction. And so this is from I believe it's from, yeah, it's from a Wikipedia Commons item, but differentiated instruction is one of the components of UDL, making making everything within your course available in a variety of ways so that students have choices about how they choose to interact with your educational activities. It adapts the content, they can adapt the content. They can figure out what different ways to process the information, to share the information, and to provide them with ways of letting you know that they have accomplished what you want them to accomplish. Doesn't get any better than that, really. Go into this and think about ways of things that you might decide you would like to include in as you're thinking about making your course ever more available and successful for your students.
There's so much available out there to use.
Yes.
And I often feel like once I start looking at one, one tool, I go down the rabbit hole, and pretty soon I have a list, wish
Yep.
list, and I just add more to my plate and become very overwhelmed. So I need to be more intentional overall and really pick one new tool every semester to share with students, because I'm learning, but they're also learning, and I find that their learning curve regarding how to engage in an online class is all over the place. That they're all coming
Yes.
from different
Yeah.
different levels of experience and motivation, right? So I need to be more intentional about the tool that I use and tell them why we're using it. And I need to be okay with using the tool several times so that they can get used to using the tool,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Because if they don't, if you do it once in a while and then you try to cram all these new tools in, and they're not, it's really that mile wide and inch deep.
Yes, yes,
Right.
definitely.
Yeah. And I need to do a better job asking students their comfort level,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And you know, whether or not they liked using the tool. Did it make the experience better? Were they able to learn, you know, at a deeper level?
Mhm. Yeah, one of the things that we tend to recommend is a mid-semester survey of how things are going, but it really could and probably should be more often than that even. You know, what have we done that works for you? What can I do to help make it a little bit easier for you? But I loved this quote regarding relationship-based learning. As we return to in-person learning, school isn't a building designed to monitor our students or talk at them. That isn't a part of it, but I put that in. But be a place where they can go as they are on this journey and get the support that they need, no matter what form that support comes in. And they need to know that they can reach out to you for information, for advice, for wisdom, because you know that's what we all hope that we are sharing with our students. Thank you for joining us today.